Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be discussing roles, and I have a little of a spicy opinion on roles. Maybe some of you agree, maybe some of you don't. Maybe some of you are born and were using roles a very, very long time, even nowadays, because you kind of just built the convention into your brains, and that's how you've always coded. But we don't need roles no more. We don't need to use roles because roles are very inflexible, and roles are not the best things out there, neither as an optimization path nor as something that allows you to code a lot better, because policies and claims have taken the mantle of what roles are supposed to do. So why do I say this? Why do I make a video, bitching about roles? Well, the reason why is because I see multiple places try to implement roles the same way they've always done, even though they have the power to do better stuff out there, arguably better, because roles only really do a Boolean check. And what is the nature of a role? What do you do roles? What is a role? Well, a role is just in security context within your web app, just how you demarcate a user, aka it's how you separate users and their privileges within an application to allow them to do and see things. But this can be done with claims and this can be done with policies. I promote policies because I think policies are a better way to implement this system. But let's digest this. Now, when did roles come out? Roles came out at a time when things were still developing. Code was a lot harder to do, arguably harder, because in order to do something very simple, you had to basically build it from scratch, and you didn't have the best libraries around. It's not like these days where what's hard about building something is the fact that there are many things that you can use to build it, and then you have to navigate this jungle of knowledge and then try to finagle it together to whatever the concept of your web application is. However, back then, you didn't. Back then, it was basically a desert. You didn't have that much knowledge out there, and sharing your code and stuff was kind of an iffy thing because the internet wasn't really the best at that time, and nor there was a standard of developing your applications or very much from that matter. In fact, this was such a big problem that it was only very, very recently where Microsoft followed some sort of standard with their browsers specifically, because, at some point they were the big dog, they were the big fish, they were the browser kings, and then, Google won. So how it is, and then they had to at some point conform because no one was using Internet Explorer after that. Then Microsoft Edge came out, and that was also a piece of garbage. So anyways, let's continue on the roles. What is a role when it comes to your web application or just any application in general that you build in .NET? A role is just a Boolean. You either have something that the role expects you to have or you don't, and you get access to whatever it is you have access to, and that's all it is. But this could be the same exact thing could be implemented with policies and claims. In fact, your roles underneath it all in today's technology are just claims that are being associated to a role or that you use as a role in context. Because there's context, the roles can exist, but you don't need this middleman anymore if you have policies and claims. So really what a role is just the way that us humans interpret the user's privileges rather than an actual technical hurdle, because you can replace what a role is doing with claim or policy, and all you really want to do is ensure that when you have a certain claim or a certain policy or a role in this case, that they have the right access to it. And that's all it does, which is why you don't really need a role specifically, because a role is hamstringed by the fact that you can only check against one thing at a time, and that in order to implement your roles across your application, you have to do it manually. Policies allow you to be more flexible because in one place you can change one policy or your policies, all your policies, and have it be implemented across the whole application without actually going through it manually. And either way, all your roles are claims in the background. You take up a claim and then you either associate that to a role or you don't, or you do whatever you want, or you just check against the claim itself to see if it has the right value that you need in order for you to have access to whatever it is you want you're trying to get access to. So even Microsoft documentation says is that all roles are claims, but not all claims are roles, something along those lines. And that's how the identity framework works. So when it comes to .NET stuff, is there really much room for a role anymore, apart from it being very simple? Now, I know what you might be saying, because I know that in the future, I'm probably going to keep using roles because it's very simple to me, because when I build out a program, I am not only a hypocrite, but I also like simplicity, which is why I like roles. But in a production level environment, you want to go the extra mile and actually create policies. You haven't seen my video on policies, and you should watch it, right here somewhere. And you can get more information on how to actually do that and why these policies are far more flexible for you than an actual role. Now, in the past, were they useful? Yes, they were very, very useful in the past because, it was very efficient, very simple. And most users basically were stuck using your username and password, a convention that has stuck with us until now. But since the advent of emails and social media and all this other good stuff, there are other technologies, there are other ways of trying to figure out who you are, because all a username and password is trying to ensure that you exist in the system, and then the roles come later as an authorization step. And you can't really use a role without claims And you need claims in order to use, let's say, OpenID or OAuth. So if you want to use something like Google Authenticator or something, then you need these technologies to work. And at the end of the day, what you're doing is grabbing claims being associated with these emails. A very simplistic way. I'm probably saying it wrong, but that's essentially what's happening in the background. So again, roles are not very needed, because you could already demarcate your code with claims or policies. And you still need these claims and policies in order to use the new technology these days that was not available back when roles were much more important in order to separate your code. So this whole video is in the vein of my authorization authentication series, because you have noticed a lot of my videos were on authentication authorization. That's because I'm building up to the next series of videos, which we'll talk about Blazor WebAssembly. I know that you guys really like this. I know you guys, want a replacement for Duende. So we're going to look into that when I get to it. This is going to be just my little ranty quick video to give you in order to sink your teeth on some thoughts that I thought of when I do web applications. Sometimes I think about, is there a point in having roles anymore? Like, I know why I want roles, because I do want to separate my program to have different people with different privileges. But at the end of the day, I don't need roles for that. I could just use claims. I could use policies. And I would rather use policies because I think that's the best way to do it, because you could actually have logic involved, and you can read claims and all that good stuff. And you can even implement roles if you like it within the policies anyways. So really, is there really a place for roles anymore? In today's day and age, I lean towards no, but as a general concept and as a general, in a security context way, I can see why people want to keep using it. And, out of nostalgia, I guess, because that's how we've been using it forever. But I think it's time that we've got to move forward. So we'll have roles in spirit, but in reality, we're going to use claims and policies in order to make our web applications and what have you better in .NET at least. And that's all the video is today. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any, concerning opinions about what I've said today, please let me know in the comments. This is one of those videos that's supposed to rile up some people out there, some hardcore diehards who, have their opinions and views on stuff. So in case you're wondering why I do these things. Anyways, I'll see you next time. And we'll get to that Blazor WebAssembly stuff soon. Don't worry. Don't worry.